Hello, fellow songwriters, and welcome to the 14th episode of the How Songs Are Made podcast, where we talk to notable artists about their songwriting process. I am your host, Trey Xavier, and today we're going to be talking to my very good friend Justin McKinney of the ZENITH Passage about how he writes songs. Once again, twice in a row, I got somebody who is taller and better looking than me.
I just have hair. That's
what is it with you pretty motherfuckers? I need a new policy of like uggos only.
I'll just drink. I should have drank heavily before coming over and then just never slept.
Yes.
And then I would have been very shot.
Unfortunately, you're fresh as a daisy, and here we are. So welcome.
Hello. Welcome.
I'm excited to have you on.
Do I look at you or where do I look?
You're going to look at me.
Oh, this is awkward.
That you think that's awkward? Well, otherwise it's more awkward for the you know,
or
for the folks at home, because then
way?
we're looking in opposite directions. Don't look me in
Don't
the eye.
Ever look at me.
Didn't my assistant give you the rundown? You don't look him in
don't
the
look
eye.
him in the eye.
Okay. No sudden movements.
Who was it, like Prince or something? He was like, don't ever look him in the eye or something.
Never look him in the eye.
Yeah. Everyone in chat, do not look at me in the eye, please.
Don't look him in the eye. Don't do it.
Just do not look at us.
You've been thinking about it.
Don't look at us. Just don't.
Don't do it. Do you like how I also made it so I look taller than you for some reason? I didn't mean to do that. That was unintentional. Oh, that's no. No, don't. You're making it worse. Hold on.
See you, dude.
Bye. See you, dude.
See you, dude.
All right, and then I'm just gonna. There we go.
Welcome, everyone.
Anyway, once my second in-person guest. Very exciting.
Yeah, this is great.
Say hello to the chat. Hello, chat.
Hello, chat. Welcome to the club.
We mostly ignore them, but that's because
don't ever.
It's not out of hate or because we don't love them. Just because otherwise we'd never go home. We'd be here all day.
Oh yeah, it's true. So don't talk to us. Don't look at us.
That's right. That's number 2. Don't look. Don't talk.
Just be in the moment. You're a fly on the wall.
And bow.
Yes,
bow. You should never be higher than me. So anyway, we're here today to talk about how you write songs for your band. The ZENITH Passage, what I affectionately call the penis sausage.
Yes, we're the penis passage.
The penis passage.
I don't actually write the songs.
Oh, you don't? Okay, great. Anyway, thanks all for coming. So this has been.
Can you imagine this in the stream?
I can imagine, and I bet it would be. People would be like, "Great, that was the best one. That was the best episode." So you've dropped 2 new singles over the last few months.
Yeah.
Which are so similarly named that I have a hard time remembering which one's which.
Algorithmic Salvation, which is our debut with the new lineup with Derek Ridquist, a.k.a. Demon Carcass, and then Brandon Giffen. Probably might know them from the Faceless, from Planetary Duality era, and then Brandon and Bean and Cynic. So definitely stepping the game up with them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. New stuff sounds awesome.
Thanks.
And is not a huge departure from what you've done in the past.
No, not really.
But still a step forward in a lot of ways. A lot of kind of new. I mean, it just sounds like basically the same general idea, but just a lot of little improvements, a lot of cool little things.
Yeah. Production, I think, is the biggest one.
Yes. I mean, I've liked the production on your stuff in the past, but I did always feel like I wanted it, just to match the level of crazy that you've got going on. It's really hard to do in the style of music that you're playing, Yeah,
it's really hard to have it clear and concise. That's why you don't use any gain.
Zero gain.
Yeah, everyone hates that I don't use gain, but
it's just clean
it's just
guitar
DI,
tech.
and then that's it, man. It's literally, everyone asks how do you get your tone? I mean, I just use my DI signal. It's not a joke.
You just did. What else do you need?
That's all you need.
It's basically like funk guitar. You know how they record funk guitar, basically just the old funk records was just like straight into the board. Pretty much,
yeah,
like
yeah,
guitar into the board.
That's it. That's all you
Position
need.
2 on the Strat.
That's really all we did. Yeah, production is like a big thing. And then to go further on the gain thing, like our newest single, Synaptic Deprivation, which is, pretty much the same title as Algorithmic Salvation. It's a slam poetry. This is what we're doing.
Algorithmic salvation, synaptic deprivation, but it's spelled with an A.
Yes, with an A.
Depravation.
Depravity. People thought we misspelled the name.
I immediately did, and then I was like, but what if they didn't? And I looked it up because I was like, oh no, it's depravity, but it isn't. Oh, it's deprivation, also a word.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
Genius.
write the lyrics. I don't fucking know. Oh, am I allowed to cuss?
Yes.
Okay. Shoot.
People always ask me that.
I don't know. Are we on like NBC? I don't know. Like
We're not on NBC.
Okay.
We're on
CBS.
not.
PBS.
Oh, definitely not that. None of those. We're on no network. We're on the zero network.
Oh, I've heard that one.
Fucking nothingness. The network of not who's gonna let you, but who's gonna stop you.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Disney, dude. They'll stop you. This is not sponsored by Disney.
But I want to be where the people are. Ask them the questions and get. That's from The Little Mermaid, and I just revealed a lot about myself.
Oh,
but
wow.
we're talking about you and how you go about it. So you've got these 2 new singles. There's really only one question on this podcast, and then all the other questions are pretty much follow-up questions. The big question is, what is your songwriting process normally, and was it any different for this new stuff? Or and if so, how?
So it's different because I live upstairs now, right? So I get a bag or a box of tools, and you take the box and then you put it on top of the staircase. You make sure that you have a microphone. You record everything that happens. You dump the box of tools, and it makes this noise falling down the stairs, and that's how I write it.
That's how you write it. So it's basically
noise. Yeah,
it's a
just clanky noise.
It's like, what's his name? The 20th century. It's like John Cage.
John
Cage-esque. People think that there's a lot, but really it's just trolling. It's
literally just noise. It's like that idling motorcycle like bleed, you know?
Dude, every time a motorcycle pulls up next to me and you hear that little every single time I'm like, is this where metal came from?
Dude, it has to be. Like, how can you not be inspired by that? It's so cool. But yeah, like, to go on that, like, yeah, actually repetitive machine noise is actually kind of, I think, a reason why this new stuff is so mechanical. I'm like trying to dive into that. So I think machines have been playing like a role in it, especially because where I work, there's like machines that make like repetitive noise. So I think that might have subconsciously played a role in it. And then I think I noticed that once, and then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should pay attention to this. But yeah, the reason I think mainly why it's different than other stuff is because I'm not really writing in Guitar Pro.
Oh.
Yeah, so like Guitar Pro, if I'm sure you know, you can get carried away in Guitar Pro. Very much. So like another thing I did in the past too was like writing in Guitar Pro and also just continuing a riff forever to the point where I just like, okay, well, I don't really know what to go, so I guess I'll just end the song now. So I think, the biggest thing now, instead of writing 100% in Guitar Pro, I mean, I jump back to Guitar Pro to reference, but I write in my DAW now, so like just writing to a click track mainly, and then machines and tools and staircases. That plays a massive role in what you hear in Algorithmic Salvation. I think that's the most mechanical song I think we've done so far.
But it's got like the catchiest fucking riff in all of tech death. Like,
you think so?
Dude, it's like
idling motorcycle.
It's super fucking catchy. Like, I mean, that's not something you often think of in with tech death. It's almost intentionally anti-commercial in most ways, or but it's super memorable. There's something about the rhythm and the the whole thing that just like sticks in your head? Of course, right now on the spot, I'm totally blanking on what it sounds like, but I remember being like, oh shit.
It's just like noise. Just remember the sound of noise. White noise. Dance music.
Dance music.
210, man. It's a great dance BPM. I'm sorry, 420. That's
420.
Yeah.
If you
it's
double.
Nice. 210 is a great dance BPM. So I think for this album, everything is kind of within that realm. Same thing with Synaptic. It's 180. I think you just get a little more groove out of those tempos. I don't know, like it's just like I try to think of like how quirky and bouncy can you make the song, like, and like by doing that you can come up with memorable, catchy things in that way. So it's like, how can you make an earworm? Like if you listen to like Spheres of Madness, it's like I think the catchiest song ever. And it's like, how do we recreate that pretty much every time? Is what the whole premise of the album is, without trying to rip off, Decapitated.
So you are intentionally going for trying to create catchy, memorable stuff.
Yeah, because I think it just kind of fell into that, I guess, that catchy riff-oriented thing on our last record, Solipsist, where like Deus Deceptor was, I think, for the most part, the favorite with people. And I've had the most fun writing that one. So instead of just like, like writing like all these insane riffs like one after the other, why don't we just try to like, refine how it comes down and make something that's actually like people can hum out. But it's like you can't just hum out like a tech death song, you know what I mean? Like it's like, hum out like an Archspire song. I mean, it's kind of hard to do. So it's like, how do you make it to where it's like extreme metal but also like memorable, So like even like Necrophagist did that well with with Stillborn and everything. So I don't know, just trying to reach in those kind of territories. Decapitated does it really great. Even Surreption, they do that really great. So just like bangers, dude. You can dance to.
And you had to get inside those Surreption songs.
I did, yeah.
Because you filled in for them.
Yeah, I filled in for them.
On the like most fucking cursed tour.
Exactly.
Dude, like it went from you like filling in to you it being basically you, the drummer and the vocal, like bass player rough. Dropped off for some reason, had to go home or something.
I don't know if whatever, he's on the band. He lost his passport. It was such a bummer. He lost his passport like when they were in Sweden, like the day before, and like to get a new one, it was just like didn't make any sense. But yeah, it was weird too because like the year prior we were headlining, and I was like, Summer Slaughter's not bad, I don't know why people talk shit and blah blah blah. I'm actually having a great time, other than the obvious. But then opening the next year, I'm like, wow, this tour sucks. Like, this is not fun. Like, especially because we were like, it was a pretty big package that year too, and it was like we were rotating slots with Entheos, so it was like either you're like opening the show or you're second, and it was like freaking A, this is hard. Like, especially because I had to like run their whole in-ear setup, and I had to like run all the tracks, and we had to put bass on tracks and everything. It was just like a lot to do, and I had to do it like all in a month, which was like losing my mind, dude.
Well, but stuff like that.
Character.
It's character building, which is like something your dad would say, but at the same time, it's like it pushes you to like really get inside something very quickly. It's a good exercise, learn something and just get it fucking done because you have to.
Yeah. So
I have a tendency to sit around and like just kind of like noodle on stuff and like, oh, maybe I'll learn a little something, learn like fucking 10 seconds of a song and be like, cool, I did something. Like, no, it's like you have to learn this thing and you have to learn it now and you got to get it done because otherwise this whole thing's not happening.
It's not going to happen.
But all that to say that I'm interested to know, like, when you're in there doing, like, going for that, when you're thinking about writing something that's catchy, or maybe not thinking about it like in the forefront of your brain, but you're writing something, like you come up with a little something like that, a snippet, an idea, a riff. Where do you go from there? How do you build it out into a whole song generally?
I think that's like my biggest problem that I'm still trying to figure out is I think a lot of people get hung up on, like, oh, I got this sick riff, and I spent all this time on this riff, and now what do I do? And then you spend it like 3 years, and you're like, still can't figure it out, man. Like, what's happening? But now to go back to what we were talking about, like deadlines, I think I'm starting to figure out now that deadlines are a good motivator, because it's like I've noticed when you have a deadline and you have like, you know, you're rushing, all your creative juices and your stress are forcing you to complete something, to make this deadline. Otherwise, you know, like all the consequences that happen if you don't do it. So I think that's like a great motivator. So I'm learning how to use deadlines as a proper motivator, because I do take my time. Obviously, it's been 5 years this week. Solipsis came out. So yeah, it's been a long time since I put out an album, so I understand that, you know, I take a long time writing this shit, and I'm trying to like figure out how to be better at that. But yeah, like writing a riff, like sometimes it just spills out of your head, right? Like it can happen. It just spills out of your head, and then you're like, okay, now what do I do? And then it's like, okay, I usually try to do this thing is follow the thread. Like you write something, and then like you just keep following the thread, and then like see where it takes you, and then you keep following, tugging. And usually it could be linear, you know, it could be cyclical. Like song structures probably don't even make sense half the time, you know. I mean, that's like a lot of Zenith past stuff is like the structure is just everywhere. It's just like one long riff. And I think that works sometimes, but I think now that I've gotten older, it's like, okay, I need like some sort of structure and format. And I think Algorithmic kind of has proven that there's some structure to our stuff. I think it's the most mature song. But what do you do after you make that riff? And that's like, it's just trial and error, man. It's honestly like...
Well, how about this? What did you do after you made that riff on this one?
Well, funny enough, like I wrote the main riff. I wrote that in 2017. And then the verse after that. And then I didn't know what to do after that. I got caught up, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, what do I do? I just kept writing the riff. I kept following the thread, and it just like kept taking me nowhere. I'm like, okay, this is clearly not working. So I took like a 2-year break on the song, and I focused on other things in life. I kind of took a break from
Became a monk.
I became a monk. I went, you know, to
took
Nepal.
a vow of silence.
Did a lot of DMT, and it just came to me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I took a long break from just writing, and I think that helped me grow up, at least death metal music, you know. So it helped me grow up. I was kind of experiencing other kinds of music.
You were like, you said to your music, you were like, listen, we're going to see other people.
We're going to see other people. Just, we need to take a break. But no, I think in doing that, it's grown this is Batman. He just put his Batman thing on. Trey has everything in here like automated to his voice. He's like what, Jarvis, like your Jarvis system from Iron Man.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, he has like turrets everywhere, so do not come here.
Well, if you look me in the eye, you know, it's
don't
gonna
turrets engaged. Just don't look at Trey in the eye.
And I'm cracking a cold one.
Cold one right now, brother.
It's 4:20 somewhere, bro.
You damn right. It's 2:10 somewhere. What were we talking about?
Yeah, following the thread, becoming a monk.
Oh yeah,
taking a break.
Taking a break.
Yeah.
Taking a break. So I think that helped me grow as a musician, is just taking a break and discovering other kinds of music. I was like really getting into jazz and stuff, so I think that helped. But yeah, I think for Algorithmic Salvation, it was more like of a cyclical song structure. So I actually just made a very mature decision, and like, you know what, I'm going to cut this riff that I'm absolutely in love with, which is a really hard thing to do. I had a riff in there that I was just like, dude, this riff is the best riff I've ever written, and it just did not work in the grand scheme of things. So I made a very adult decision and decided not to use that in the song, which I'm still bummed about, but it'll make it.
It just means it's another song.
It could be another song, yeah, but I just don't. I have a hard time. Like, I'll write, like, this is another problem. Like, I write so many riffs that it's probably worth albums worth, but I just never end up using them. I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't really work. I'm just going to move on. I've rediscovered like so many riffs. I'm like, wow, why did I never use that? That's cool. Like, but yeah, like, that's why I was like, bummed. Like, man, I'm never going to be able to use this riff probably. But yeah, adult decision, like throwing out a riff you're absolutely in love with is a very hard thing to do. And I did that. And then like, I think the end goal was actually, it kind of shown through because people seem to like it. I think it's a more digestible song for a death metal song. So I don't know, maybe it worked. And then our newest single, Synaptic Deprivation, is like kind of like following the thread. It has some repeating motifs for the most part of the song. But yeah, it is more of a follow the thread kind of song. And I think I've discovered following like a certain motif now within a song, and you can just have multiple variations of it. That way you can keep people engaged and like have something to recognize at least. I think that plays a pretty big role in like how I start writing songs now. So, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out. Also, I have no idea what I'm doing. So
That's what the title of the video says.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Just don't listen to me.
So, you know what though? Some of the people who do it best have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you obviously do, even though you maybe don't, like,
I don't.
because you're doing it and it's getting done. So from just like a purely mechanical standpoint, as you're going, do you generally, like, if you come up with a riff, like you're saying, like something that's just, you're just like, oh, that's awesome. Do you generally start building it out vertically? Like, will you write a bass line and some drums to go along with it as you're going, or do you move more horizontally and write some more guitar stuff?
I've gone down both paths. I think, like with writing in a DAW, like I think you're not forced, but you're like influenced to write all parts as you go. It's like a snowball effect. Like it keeps getting bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill. And I think in writing drums, like I think writing drums with your guitar part is very important. Like I think if you just continue writing guitar and you don't have any reference in terms of like actual like rhythmic meter with drums, it kind of can. You might get yourself in a situation you're like, oh well, this riff doesn't work now because of the drums. Like it didn't. I don't know what to do now. And then you just take a break from the song for 4 years and then
just take a quick break.
Yeah. But yeah, I write drums all the time with my riffs now. And now that I'm writing in a DAW, same thing I did with Guitar Pro. But I've also gotten to a point with some of the songs on this record that is to be announced. That I wrote a lot of the songs as just like in Guitar Pro or in the DAW without drums, just because like I just need to hurry and get this figured out. And those were the songs I actually wrote the fastest, which is interesting. Like I didn't take the time to write the drums or figure out like any real rhythmic elements. So I just kept like writing the guitar, and I would get it done in a week, which is kind of crazy. So like another song I've been writing with our new guitar player, Chris. He's the new guy. We bounced some riffs back and forth for like just on Friday, and the song's like pretty much done, which is crazy. Like, and there's like a very small like drum like influence in that, so it's going to be interesting when you actually have to do the song for real and like write drums to it and everything. But
well, do you ever like make a bare bones skeleton and just hand it off to the drummer? And
sometimes, yeah, like I always usually just take initiative and then just write the drums, and then the drummer usually figures it out. But now like I'm like really trying to get Matt to just write drum parts, because with Synaptic Deprivation, like the drums are actually just completely programmed on that song. Like he didn't really track the drums, mainly because of time and then a lot of other random logistics. But we actually made a joke about it too, because it's like, I don't know if you've seen the video, but like he's pressing spacebar on his laptop, and then in the back there is Superior Drummer.
Yeah, I saw that.
And like some of it kind of went over
silly.
It went over people's heads, but there's a reason why we did that, is because it's programmed. And Matt's like a very prideful and like very skilled drummer, and he's like, dude, you can't play this. Like I don't have a third arm. And I'm like, fuck. Well, the master's turned in, so what do we do? So he's like, like I'm not gonna try to like mime playing this, because he's like, it's like I'm not gonna like be one of those people who fake it.
Yeah.
So he's just like, I'll just like have fun with it, and then like I'm like, yeah, you should just press spacebar, and like there's like the joke too. He has all those arms.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is how many arms I'll need to play these parts, because there's so many different things going on. And I'm a guitar player, so it's like, like guitar players do guitar player things when they write drums, and it's like drummers get it and they're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Well, I have experienced this in every version of it, to every degree. I've done everything from being like, no, dude, don't be a little bitch, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
To now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you basically like the backbeat, like where the snare is supposed to sit, and you just do the rest, because like I'm like reasonably good at programming drums, and I play the drums a little bit, so that helps a lot, because then I sort of avoid the octopus thing.
Yeah.
But no matter what, I figured out, like, no matter what, a real drummer is going to come up with something that is cooler.
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes drummers really like the things that I program, and they'll integrate it, like certain little things. But like, it's a problem, and especially these days when everybody has access to really great,
really easy to do
software and that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know that I necessarily would have guessed that it was programmed, but at this point, the way that it seems like the way that it works is people, when you're programming it, you're trying to make it sound as realistic as possible. And when you record them for real, you're trying to make them as clean and beautiful as possible.
Yeah.
And
there's the gap, dude.
So there's sometimes you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Some people are really, really good at making program drums sound so realistic that you can't tell the difference. And some people process the drums so much and so tightly to the point where you go like,
oh, it's programmed.
Is it programmed? I don't know. So there's a lot of crossover, and especially with like metal and super techie stuff where you have to be able to hear every fucking blast beat. A lot of stuff is processed within an inch of its life. So
totally,
I wasn't specifically like really paying close attention to that, but
I mean, it went over your head. You wouldn't have known otherwise,
I wouldn't have known.
right?
I wouldn't have known.
I got you, man. I got you.
You got me, bro.
Yeah, see, that's the cool thing. It's like, if I can get away with it, I mean, Meshuggah got away with it, right?
Yeah, and in a time when it was when they didn't, there wasn't 100 different amazing sounding drum sample libraries. I think they used Drum Kit from Hell.
That's right, they did. They did use Drum Kit from Hell. Same thing with that After the Burial record.
Really?
I forget which one it is, but I'm pretty sure that they had programmed drums too.
Damn.
At least if I remember, I could be confusing it with another band, but yeah, like 8 arms is what it takes to. But no, like even on Algorithmic, like Matt tracked the drums to that. And the reason why he didn't track for Synaptic is he kind of took a step back and had to focus on like other things. So I'm like, okay, I'll just like write the drums, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but when I wrote the drums for Algorithmic, there was a thing where he doesn't have 2 hi-hats. He has 1 hi-hat. And I do a thing for some reason. I don't know why I do this, but I accent with an open hi-hat on parts a lot.
But the double kick.
But the double kick's going. But Matt is so sick that he made that happen. Like he was able to do an accent with the hi-hat while he's doing like 16ths at 210, which is fucking mind-boggling. Like, because he has like a really interesting technique where he does like a swivel technique. It looks like he's like slippery, like on ice.
Yeah.
So he does that, but he kept his heel on the pedal of the hi-hat and was still in time with the kick. It's a crazy thing. So he was able to pull like things off like that I would just, I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that anyway. But so now that it's like drummers are like, dude, you cannot do this. Please stop. Like my hands and head hurt. So it's like now I have to like take that into consideration moving forward, but too late. Everything's already programmed, dude.
Your digital drum slave never complains.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
As soon as you hand it off to a person,
they complain. This is why we need to stop being humans. We need to be robots. Everything will be better.
So for these 2 songs, you're building them as you go. You're building the parts out in a bigger way, like vertically as you're going. So you've programmed some drums. This is the first time you've had a separate bass player.
Yeah, like an actual, like we had a bass player when we first started, and then that was like early on, like in 2013, and then I think we haven't had a bass player since 2013. So like, actually no, MacBook Pro has been great. Yeah, we've done every tour pretty much with bass on tracks. I mean, whatever, people hate that, but it's like, I mean, whatever. At the time, I was like, I don't even care, dude. I'm just trying to tour, like, have fun. And I wasn't really putting a priority in a bass player, but now that we actually have a actual bass player, not just someone who follows, you know, guitar parts, like, that's a big thing that Brandon has opened my eyes to, as well as, like, an actual bass player. Is like, dude, like, all these bass players are sick and everything, like, they follow the guitar, but you can do so much more if you can just be more rhythmic about it and kind of bounce in and out of the riff. That way, like, it's just not a wall of that riff. Like, it's just like there's some nuance to it and everything. So, like, having Brandon and, like, having Brandon do Brandon things, it's just like, wow, like, this is what a bass player is. Like, this is crazy. Like, so, like, I think that shines a lot on synaptic deprivation, because it's like, if you guys have heard the track, like, the bass is just ripping on that song. Like, he's just going off on all this fucking cool stuff, dude. And he's got, like, a fretless solo in it, and it's just like, damn, like, I think that, and, like, top with Derek, it's just like, wow, like, I never expected to, like, for the song to come out, like, any Zenith song to come out the way these are coming out. And I'm just like, holy shit, like, this is fucking cool, man. Like, it's got me stoked, and I think that's why I'm, like, super hyped and just, like, really drilling it now, like, just trying to just never stop writing, and then just completely, like, playing guitar every day, like, which is something that I haven't really done in a long time. Like, being that stoked on music again is, like, awesome. Like, I mean, I'm sure, you know, you go through phases too where you just don't ever touch a guitar. You hate a guitar. It sucks. Like, don't look at me. Please don't look at me. It's like, that's what it's like. And then now that you rediscover that and you have this new, like, fire in your belly, you're just like, all right, let's just keep ripping. And it's like a rediscovery of music and death metal. So
I find it, like, to be self-perpetuating, because you, like, if you haven't played it for a while, you feel like you pick it up and you feel like you suck, like, compared to where you have been at a certain point. And then you're like, it's gonna, you know what it takes to get back there. And it takes something to hook you in to get you back feeling like you're going somewhere. Because it's a total asshole of an instrument, right? Like, it's almost anybody can play some guitar, but to really be good at it, knowing the kinds of sickos that are out there, it's very defeating in a lot of ways. It's always a struggle. You always struggle with the instrument, but once you catch a little bit of something, you play something, and you either come up with something, maybe write something that's cool, or you get to a point where you're feeling pretty good about it, and then you just take off. Like, it was like that for me. Like, for months I barely played. I've been like, I don't know, whatever. And then just recently I've just been playing a couple things that I've been trying to get up to speed, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, this is the feeling, the chemicals in my brain.
Yeah. Discovering fire, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's great. Let's see. At what point in the songwriting process do you hand it off to the demon carcass for slathering the evil? Like, are you giving him pretty much final tracks, or?
I kind of just update it as is. You know, like, in our group chat, I'll, like, send just even, like, you know, structures of songs and, like, what is happening. I'm like, oh, here, you know, just so you can wrap your brain around what's happening. And then, like, he like, Derek will go down rabbit holes on lyrical context and, like, like subject matter on that, and then, like, start doing his structuring as well. Like, we're like, hey, like, this song is nearing completion, by the way, so just so you can keep wrapping your head around. And then he'll do deep dives into, like, you know, all the research he's doing on it. And then finally we get, like, a structure finished. Like, it's like, okay, that's done now. Like, notes can change here and there, but that doesn't matter. But rhythmically, it's sound. So then he starts, like, getting the lyrics, and he'll think about, like, what to do rhythmically, but he kind of, like, leaves that to me at first to find the rhythmic patterns vocally. And then, like, we do the whisper tracks, like, I'll whisper in, like, nonsense into the song, and then send that to him, and then, like, we essentially plug in lyrics to that. And then, like, when we get together and we're actually, like, pre-proing it or tracking it, we'll, like, change the patterns as needed to fit the lyrical context or reverse. So it's like, if the lyric doesn't make sense, then we need to either rephrase the lyric or rephrase the rhythmic pattern of the vocals. And as you know, like, in metal music, especially this kind, like, rhythm is 100% everything. So it's like, putting a very high emphasis on rhythmic patterns and vocals in this music is just like, you know, the bread and butter of everything. I think that's with just this metal in general. Like,
and yet for some reason, it's still the most undervalued thing in metal. People, I think, in spite of understanding its importance, put the least amount of emphasis on it when they're thinking about writing things and the importance of it, which is why a lot of the best bands do it. They do it sort of intuitively, but for some reason nobody's really picked up on it and how important it is. So
yeah, I think, like, I don't want to like talk shit or anything, but like,
talk that shit,
I'm
Justin.
talking all kinds of shit right now. But tech death, it's like, it's now become a thing where people are.
I'm just gonna put this a little more like. There you go.
Talking shit.
If you're gonna talk shit, I want you to talk shit.
I'm getting right in the mic on this. Just kidding. I'm not talking shit. I'm just being real. Like, tech death music has now become technical for the sake of being technical, and it's taking away from the most important thing, which is songwriting. So I think it's like just it's just, dude, like, write a song because it's good, not because it's fast or like there's all these notes. Like, but then there's bands like Archspire that can do both, where they can have like a really crazy technical song, but also like the song structure and the songwriting is like really well done. And I mean, that's like a really hard thing to do. So the chicken blood, I guess, but
chicken blood in the water.
Chicken blood in the egg water. But yeah, like, rhythm is the most important thing, I think, for this kind of music. And a lot of, like, I think one of our streamers on Twitch, Mega Mike, he just he's a crazy drummer. He just did like 169-hour stream. He asked me, he was like, well, do you like write the melody and then like you'll plug the, like, you'll figure out the rhythm? I'm like, no, I actually figure out the rhythm and then figure out like the melody, if you know, if you want to call it melody. But yeah, I mean, rhythm is like the most important part when writing these songs. So figure out the rhythm and then plug in like your melody, or just don't write a song. I don't know. Whatever.
Or fuck right off.
Just write off, dude. Don't even do anything. But yeah, that's what separates metal from like pop or like jazz or, you know, music that has like, you know, real harmonic context, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But it's like, I think, yeah, like you said, like, people just don't really take into account like rhythm is like not as important as it should be. Like, it should be at the forefront of your mind, like when you're writing this kind of music. But at least for what we do in death metal. But I don't know, maybe not in all kinds of metal now I think about it.
I mean, I think the rhythm in tech death is everything. Like, it's without it, it wouldn't feel technical, or like it makes it seem very difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like more subdivisions, smaller ones, that makes it feel faster. Like, you could have a song that's 100 BPM, but if you're subdividing it at 128th notes or whatever, like, then it's going to feel fast.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's almost the technical part of that's the tech in tech death.
Yeah,
is the rhythm.
The rhythm is, I think the rhythm is the technical part, and like obviously like
nobody's like, wow, what a technical melody. That's so melodic that it's technical,
it's so
or
technical.
Or something like, or yeah.
Then you got like, I mean, Necrophagist did everything perfect with that, but like
yeah, but it's not even like.
It's hard to hum out a Necrophagist song.
Exactly. It's not so melodic. It's very I don't know, like pretty things, and there are melodies in there, but it's technical.
It's mechanical. I think that's
mechanical.
That's where they do well, is the mechanics of it, and like obviously like the theory and like I still think that Epitaph is the gold standard for extreme music, but even like the counterpoint in that is insane. Like,
yeah.
And I've like tried to like take some inspiration from that on this new stuff. So like there's a lot of counterpoint happening. And I think that's like a thing that people don't really like take into account as much. I mean, some bands do, but like think of like you can be at a slower tempo, but you can have all this crazy like bouncing and interweaving of the riff between, you know, two different voices that it's like you can make a much more complex song without having to do like a shit ton of work and add like 1,000,000 notes or 12 notes because it's all you can really do. But but yeah, like I don't know. That's what I've just noticed is tech death has now become like technical for the sake of technicality, and that's no fun.
I think the biggest and best bands, however, will always have what you're talking about. Like, that's, to me, why they rise up more than any other band. Like, yeah, sure, Archspire is for sure one of the most technical of the bunch, but they can also write.
They know how to write a song.
Yeah, same with Allegiant. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call them, like, tech death exactly, but they're extraordinarily technical.
Yeah.
And they know how to write a fucking song. We talked about it when they were on.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, it's like techie music, but we use basic pop song structures, and their shit is incredibly memorable, and that's why those, you know, they do really well. And so I think it's great that you're thinking about it like that, because without that, like, even if you're not thinking about it from a very traditional structure standpoint or like some kind of formula or anything like that, it's important to, because then you're imbuing meaning into the songs as you're writing them.
Totally. And like I can speak from experience because I have written songs for the sake of being technical. Therefore, like I know how it is. Like I know like I'm doing this, so I need to, like, now that I've grown up now, maybe it's just because I'm 30 now that like, or I'm in my 30s, it's like, dude, like nuance is more important than like technicality and like structure and meaning and like impact. So I think just with age, maybe because everyone's just so young now and then tech game, and they're just like, yeah, we just got to make it the fastest and the most craziest.
Well, it's a great place to start, because it's harder to start with something that's less technical to gain the skill that you need to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can hit them, like, you can still really fucking hit them over the head with it when you want to, because you've got the skills to do it.
Just pull it out of your pocket.
You can't, it's easier to go the other way.
Yeah, so it's like you've already reached like, oh, I mean, I already made these like crazy fast like technical songs. No, I guess the only thing you can do now is go backwards, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can't make it faster and crazier because it's like
exactly that's all it is. I'd love to hear you guys do like a big anthemic like butt rock song.
I mean,
like,
that's what Synaptic Deprivation is, a butt rock song.
Yes, exactly.
We got synths in it, you know.
Oh
great.
My god. Fucking sellout.
Fucking sellout. Yes, I'm a sellout now. Yeah, but age, man. I think age has probably played a massive role in, you know, exploring music outside of death metal in the last couple of years. Taking like a hiatus from writing death metal really opened my eyes to like more nuance, I think. And like prog, obviously, like all roads lead to jazz, all roads lead to prog, I think. I think that is just playing a role too. It's like, I don't know. Like, as much as people call us technical death metal, it's like, I always consider it progressive death metal, you know, so I think now...
Progressive technical death metal and not technical progressive death metal.
Technically progressive death metal. Technical difficulty metal, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, like, I think now that, like, I've like always aligned myself with the prog side of everything. I think now, like, moving forward, everything's more prog oriented, and I think people will find that out when we release both of these albums, because one of them is there's two.
I'm sorry, both of these albums?
Yeah, not two at the same time. I mean, but like there's two albums that are pretty much done, or done. Who knows? But they're vastly different from one another. Like this one that you're hearing the singles on, it's like very mechanical, very, you know, like tacker, whatever you want to call it. But the other one, which is symphonic and like actual, I think it's more human than anything. I think it conveys like a whole range of emotion. So I'm like more interested on that now, and I'm sure like I don't know if people will be down with it, but I don't really care. It's just like, dude, I need to get something else out, you know? Like I need to.
Yeah. It's when it rains, it pours. It's been 5 years since the last one.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna fucking hit us with it.
You got to hit them, and then you just let them down.
So neither I nor anyone else. Yeah. You got to let them down a lot.
Yeah.
All at once. Don't ease them into it. Neither I nor anyone else, as far as I know, has heard this mystical second, more human album. Do you want to talk about what went into that stuff, since it's as you're saying, it has a bit of a different sound to it? Do you take a different approach?
Well, I actually wrote it in like 2017 too. Like, this is another thing. A lot of the stuff I wrote was like years ago, and I'm like, I kind of just stopped writing because I got so hung up on it. And then it took like me to rediscover, like, you know, my passion for metal and death metal and all like metal music in general, to like really continue to push forward. So that one was like, it's like more black metal than death metal, I'd say. It's like symphonic. And I started writing it in like when I was in the Faceless, and you could probably hear some of my influence in the Faceless with the symphonic stuff on and Becoming a Ghost. And it's kind of in that vein, but not as cheesy, I guess. I mean, it's a great album, don't get me wrong, but there's just some weird moments in it. So I think it's just taking that like what In Becoming a Ghost was, and then like, I don't know, because I was writing this Zenith song, or this Zenith Passage album, while I was writing In Becoming a Ghost with Michael, and I think I just kind of saved like all the crazy like riffs, and because like Mike has a certain way he wants to do things, and like some like a lot of the riffs didn't really make the cut. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just like do my own thing with it, and then that's what like this album's become. So it's like very symphonic, very like movie score-esque, I think. It's like following, it's like if you were to like watch a movie, like the melody and the rhythm, everything's always changing with the characters on screen and their emotions. So it's like kind of follows that kind of characteristic in it. You know, I don't know if people are gonna get it, but hey, like I did it, and that's like all that matters. So it's very different, symphonic.
Well, how does that change the way that you write the songs? If you're integrating a lot of what I assume sample libraries and stuff like that, are you writing a song with the guitars and then dropping that on top of it, or is it very integrated into the parts? Do you ever write the orchestration parts first and then everything else? How does that work?
It's like a back and forth. Like, I'll start the riff, like I'll start like a progression, if you will, and then like add layers, and then the layers will kind of show me where to go next. And then that you can be either orchestration or it's like guitar driven. But for the most part, I think the orchestration is at the forefront of the songwriting, and the guitars just kind of mimic that in a way. But it's like, it's not that it's like what are bands that do that really well, where it's like Dimmu Borgir does it really well, you know, where it's like they have like the orchestration's at the forefront of the songwriting, but the guitars are just kind of embellishing certain things, and it's kind of like that, and I guess in a way, but faster and like more guitar. Like, it's just like, how do you say it? More guitar music, but in a symphonic context. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't really know how to explain it.
I think that's a great way to explain it.
Yeah, it's just
just keep going.
Just keep going.
Don't stop.
Just keep talking. Yeah, so I would write, like, I would pull up like a sample library that I like, and then like, I mean, you know, you can find something that inspires you based on that library, or some cool element in that library, and that like you follow the thread with that, and then that takes you to this riff, and you're like, oh, I can add guitar here, and then like you go off on the guitar for a minute, like, oh, I'll just do this with the guitar, and then you add the orchestration on that, and this is like, it's like a snowball effect. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, it's like the give and take between like each individual component of the song, and I think that's what's fueled that record, is just all parts moving at once. So
what are you using for sample libraries for the most part these days?
I'm using, I got that BBC Orchestra when they went on sale. I was really sick. Symphobia 2 I've been using a lot. I use it on a lot of stuff. Even like you heard it on Synaptic, is the Omnisphere 2. I use that a lot. Diva, use that a lot. Zebra. What else do I use? I use the Alicia Keys.
The piano?
Yes.
Yeah.
The best one ever. There's a lot of piano on the orchestration, on the orchestral record. What else? Battery. Brody actually told me a lot about Battery. And like he said that there's like a lot of cool rhythmic things in Battery that kind of inspire you to write based on that, like a lot of cool industrial things. But then he went out and just recorded all his own industrial library, which is crazy, dude.
Yeah, which we talked about on, I think, episode 2 of the podcast. I think he was my second guest. So if you at home want to hear more about how he did that crazy endeavor, check out that episode.
Yeah, it's pretty insane that.
That's the next level.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Like, it's one thing to use sample libraries and something else entirely to create your own.
And it's all natural reverb, which is insane. Like that abandoned factory they went into, it's just all natural reverb.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Like,
wild.
Yeah, that's wild. See, like that's like the kind of level like I would like to get to is just. But we live in Los Angeles, and like if you step across, someone's property, you probably will get arrested. So it's like you can't just do that. So yeah, sample library. So I just been, getting inspired by the sample library and then seeing where that takes me.
I find it hard to believe that you have no idea what you're doing if you're writing like big orchestral stuff like that. Is there at any point have you studied any of this kind of stuff formally in any way, or?
Yeah, I went to school for composition.
I'm waiting to see if you're joking or
not.
No,
I'm not joking. I went to school at CSU Northridge for music composition, and then I switched my major to business, and then I dropped out.
Oh, okay.
To join the Faceless, and then I never went back. So,
cheers.
To dropping out.
To dropping out. How long did you go for? For
like 3-4 years.
Composition?
Yeah, for composition.
Okay.
It was like 2.5 years. Studied under like a really, really awesome director. Director of the board. She was working with Hans Zimmer for a long time in the 90s, and she was telling me about like how Hans had like an entire like studio with just CS80s Jay-Z chained together. Like, so fucking cool, man. So and those things are not light, and they're on the wall.
They're enormous.
It's crazy. So like just working with people like that who have had their hands in film, like with these massive people, and then like I'm like I take a lot of influence from film score and composition in that regard. So I think that's what is shining on this orchestral record.
What's your number one favorite film score of all time?
I think there's a lot of people now, but Vangelis, the Blade Runner soundtrack, like the thing that changed the world. Even like Hans Zimmer and his team at Remote Control, their like 2049 was great.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything that Remote Control does, I love. like Dune, the Dune soundtrack is insane. Like,
I haven't seen
a lot of
that
people
one
don't really like it because it's mainly tonal, but that one's really good. Interstellar. Like if you get into like Philip Glass is a massive influence on me. Some of that.
So you like a lot of minimalist shit. You like the.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. You can take a minimalist aspect of it, but the thing about Philip Glass is like, it is kind of minimal, but there's so much insanity happening in the. It's like repeating like by repetitive motion, right? Because that's what minimalism is. But it's like really not minimal because if you listen, the more it keeps happening, you notice new things because of all the polymeter that's happening. It's like pretty insane, dude. So it's like that's why I like Philip Glass because you can just notice new things here and there every time like the cycle repeats. So like taking some of his like ideas with that and like his like polymeter idea, like I kind of use that in Solipsist on some tracks. And I use that a lot on pretty much everything I do. He's like I think I'd say one of the biggest musical influences on me or compositional influences on me. I'm trying to think of any other really good film score.
I guess I'm interested then because like when I think of the sort of like orchestral influence in metal, especially like Dimmu Borgir and stuff like that we've talked about, like I usually think of it's more like Danny Elfman or John Williams plus metal.
Oh yeah, Danny Elfman's great.
So now I'm interested even more so to hear something that would be more Philip Glass or like the other composers that you mentioned, like that aren't like bombastic sort of composition. Like it's much more focused and moody and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very, very, very moody. That's probably a good word for what it is. It's very moody. It's not like superhero. Like I think that's what you mean, like superhero movie, where it's just like massive brass sections and like, I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. Like that new Septic Flesh does it really well. Like with their massive brass sections, it's so good, dude. Like it's so well written. Also, that new track is really good.
I haven't heard it yet. I'm probably gonna do a reaction video for it. Because
I should not talk about it. Then.
No, it's fine.
It's good.
You can talk about it. It's not the same as me hearing it. I mean,
it's got a lot of Greek instrumentation in it. Which
cool.
Is fucking cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Septic Flesh does it. Like their arrangements, symphonic arrangement is really well done. Everything has a place in their composition and arrangement. So it's like, I think taking influence from how they do it is like a big one too. Like, there's another band too that does it really well. Saturnian. They were like a band that no one really got, like it didn't really hit, but I think they were at the forefront of like this new sound in symphonic like music. They only put out one record. It's kind of a bummer. They just kind of disappeared after it. But man, Saturnian, you should check them out. They're so good.
Sweet.
And then who else? Who's like another band that does, like Crack Angren does it really well. Like they do, like their orchestrations are really well done. And like obviously, Ishan. Ishan is like a genius, I think. Like all his solo records, even Emperor stuff, it's like so ahead of its time.
I spent a lot of time with Artis.
Oh yeah,
that album,
so
fucking so good.
I don't understand why, like Celestial Violence, that song. It's just like
I'm so bad with song titles.
Oh man, it's got so good, man. I don't understand how a song like that cannot win a Grammy. Like it's just so well done. Like how can you not be moved by that? And like it changed the world, dude. End World Hunger. Like it's just that good. And like it's so fucking good. Ishan is a fucking genius, dude, and like going on to the prog world, with Michael Ackerfeld and Opeth, and I mean a lot of people don't really get Opeth or like Opeth, or at least newer Opeth too, which I get, but you can't deny like the skill and like the creative cleverness that is Opeth. So like I've been like really into that more than anything like the last couple years, is like that prog world, and I think that's what's fueled a lot of the fire for what I'm doing on the symphonic record. So it's just like now it's like, okay, I got to get this crazy death metal record out so I can move on, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I'm sure people are not going to be too stoked about that, but it's like, dude,
I think it's funny that I don't know if this is genre specific or what. Like the being afraid of your fans like not liking. I mean, I guess every musician feels like that if they're taking a big step. But it's funny to hear you be like, well, I know that some people don't really like Opeth or whatever, but like who fucking cares? Like, yeah, metal fans are the fucking worst.
Yeah, we hate everything.
We hate everything.
It's like I think it comes from fear, like the fear of the unknown.
Yeah,
it's like they don't get it. But I feel like people who absolutely hate something eventually come around to it and give it another try, and they hopefully take something from it. Like, oh, this is actually pretty cool right here in this part, or this or that. So I don't know. Like, I think you can't just put the same thing out over and over again. You got to grow, So like, it's not like we're adding like freaking all these cool vocals, and, like it's not like we're doing some shit like that or anything. We're just kind of just trying to do something different,
Yeah.
So
it's not like synaptic deprivation.
I should.
I mean, I would listen to that a lot, but
you should do that. I mean, I'm down to do that.
Yeah, try pitching that to Derek.
He'd be
like, okay, this is pretty cool, man, but what if instead of screaming like a fucking demon, you sang it like an angel?
You seem like Sade.
Hello, Derek. Hello. But I'm excited to hear the symphonic one a lot, mainly because I remember you telling me about it when you were here last a bit, and it was really interesting to hear the way that you were talking about it before, because you it seemed like you, at the time, you were having a little bit of an existential crisis about what you wanted your music to be, where you were trying out some shit.
Yeah,
and now
it usually happens after you leave the Faceless.
Yeah,
you have an existential crisis.
Who am I?
Yeah, what do I do?
That's a lot of existential crises
that like metal anymore?
That have been inspired then, because
yeah, everyone goes through that phase when they leave the band. They're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, it's a rite of passage, you know. They're the Yardbirds of modern metal.
Yeah,
you know, but that's cool. Like you're exploring, you're sandboxing, you're trying new shit.
Yeah,
that's more important almost than anything else for moving forward, because how do you decide what the new thing is that you're going to do? Like you're saying, you can't put out the same thing over and over again. So how do you figure out what the thing is that's going to be not that? Yeah. Right?
You just take influence from other things, like I think outside of metal. Like
sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like you can just listen to pop music, or I mean, pop music sucks for the most part, but like there's a reason why it's popular, like there's a reason why like all these insane musicians are doing it. And then you get into this new world now, like, which is what neo funk and like future funk and like Thundercat or like Jacob Collier or all these crazy people like Dami and JD Beck, and it's like, dude, what the fuck are we doing, dude? Like, why are we not doing this? This is so sick. So like taking influence from that like has, I think, played a massive part too in like this new like exciting world that's happening in jazz and funk. It's like, I want to be a part of it too, man.
I want in on that. Come on. Let me get a little bit of that. Sorry, I'm just checking the levels, make sure everything's good. Yeah, and I think it's anathema to a lot of, especially metalheads, because it's super tribal and like people feel as though metal is what it is because it isn't those other things. And so to listen to something else that isn't metal for influence feels like betrayal or something to a lot of people, and that's
I get it.
I think that's fucking dumb. But I don't know. I'll say this for 100% certain. The number one reason that I think that that's bullshit is because I have interviewed everyone and their fucking grandma in every genre of metal, every subgenre, like big fucking bands, underground shit, and they all say the same shit. They listen to stuff that is not metal all the time. Like fucking black metal bands don't get on the tour bus after their show and listen to more black metal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a fact that I've been told over and over and over again. And regardless of whether they go out and then make another album that sounds like the last one, they're listening to all kinds of shit. Yeah. All over the board. So
it's like a big vacuum. You got to suck up everything, and you spit out what it is that is influencing you. But like listening to metal after like being on a death metal tour and listening to death metal in the van is just not a thing. I cannot do it. There are some members in the past that would always put on death metal after 3 weeks in. You're like, dude, please, can we just not listen to anything with guitar or anything with drums? There's something that's like, this is like where me and Matt vibe on, because Matt's like a huge film guy. Like he's really into like film score and composition. So like we really vibe on like movie soundtracks, and we always listen to it when we're on tour. But some members would always put on like death metal like after on a night drive, and mainly to keep them awake, which I totally get. But it's just like, come on, dude, please, man.
I don't want to be awake anymore. I want to be asleep.
Yeah. But yeah, like, dude, I think you burn yourself out too when you do that. Like if you're listening to it all the time, which is great to listen to it all the time, but you gotta you don't want to burn yourself out, like you gotta still like have space from it to still love it. I think it just pulls you back even more.
Yeah. And like when you're going into listening to new things, it's discovery, right? You're trying out something new. You hear about a new artist, maybe you go and you look, and you don't necessarily know what to expect. You're not going in maybe going like, oh, I'm going to learn this from this. I'm going to pick up this trick or this idea. Because you can't know what it is that's going to be new because it's new. So you have to go in blind, trying new shit wildly.
Yeah.
And listening.
And it's like you might not even know it. Like it might be subconsciously pulling you towards that. Like you're gravitating towards something and you're like you might not even know that you like it that much until you're actually humming it, or you're thinking about some melody, or you're doing something in your writing that you just never had in you before, just because you were exposed to it. So like being exposed to that music and just trying to go down, even if you don't like it, just try it. Like who knows like what the effect could be, where it could take you. Like I think that's important. Like you can't just be stuck in this hole, dude, because like how are you supposed to grow? How are you supposed to find other things? You know, like you can't do this. You can't be in the hole. Don't be in the hole. No, just I don't know. I think that's just, like I said, age. Growing up now, like when I was like, I used to be like 100% elitist. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was an elitist. Like fuck everything that's not death metal. Everything else sucks. Like I'm like I hate everything but metal. It's like I was there. Like I get it. And I think age has shown me like, dude, who cares? Just listen to music. So.
I think people care when they make it their personality, like when metal becomes your entire personality, and you don't have anything else interesting to offer, you know what I mean, like as a person. And I think the reason that goes away as people get older is because you meet a lot of other interesting people who have more things to say, and then you're like, oh, this isn't the only thing, even if it's the most important thing. Like I still listen mostly to metal.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
I'm still probably 70 to 80% of what I listen to is metal.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I play in a metal band. Like I write metal music, but like I don't have such an ego to think that it's the only thing that exists, the most important, the best, whatever.
Totally.
Like just because I like it the most or whatever. But it's to me at least, it's a vehicle for these other influences that I have, writing other things like and incorporating them into them. Like you're saying, like the like film scoring stuff, different sounds, different ideas. I think that's actually where metal excels.
Yeah.
The reason there's infinity billion like subgenres of metal is because you can take any cool thing
and put it
into metal, make it metal. Like what's the thing?
Yeah.
Like fucking reggaeton, add it with metal, it gets better.
Yeah. Right. The best.
Pop, add it metal to pop, boom, it's better. Like that's fucking cool. It's like a sauce.
It really is like a sauce or like a magnet, if you will. It's like that's what makes metal, I think, the coolest of everything, is because it's able to meld into this thing that is just like, it's like almost like a projection of that music, but in somewhat of an aggressive context, I guess, because I guess metal for some part is aggressive. I'd say.
I would say so. Yeah.
So it's cool to like take something that's cool in this aspect and then making it aggro and making it like more energetic. And it's not even about being aggressive. I think it's just energy and impact, because metal is like pure energy, pure like just like full throttle for the most part. It's like, and maybe a lot of people, like I know I do, like I take emotional stance in metal, because he's like, some people might have had like emotional trauma and they put their they put that into metal, and like maybe by being at a show or listening to metal, like all that built up, pent up, steam that you have, that's an outlet for you. And like I identify with that, like I get into metal, and it was like an outlet for me to not feel bad anymore. So like a lot of people I totally understand, like a lot of people are 100% in metal because that's their outlet to just get off steam.
Yeah.
And I think maybe growing up too, it's like now, like I'm not in a situation where I have to always let out steam. Well, maybe the pandemic is making us more angry. I don't know.
Yeah. Building that steam
Building
again.
that steam up. But yeah, like in an emotional context, like I think, metal has a pretty massive impact on how you deal with things emotionally. Because it's like, you can like listen to sad music or listen to like dance music and dance it away. Like people have their different ways of doing it, but like metal music is so much about like the aggression and like the energy, that it's like a way to just let it out in a safe space, I think. And I don't know, maybe people will disagree with me, but I think going to shows and like people, mosh pit and like they, hardcore dance or whatever you want to do, it's like in a safe space where other people are letting that out too. And I think that's super important. So, if someone builds their whole identity on that and like, but that they're still like a good person and they're able to let that shit out and, have fun, then like, who cares, man? That's another thing too, that a lot of people don't get, like, who aren't into metal. It's like everyone thinks that metalheads are like these big, mean people. We're just teddy bears. Is like all it is.
Huge fucking dorks and teddy bears. Nerds, dorks, teddy bears.
Yeah. That's all it is. So I don't know. That's the thing. Like, is like if you were a pop artist or like, I don't know, someone who listens to like trap music or whatever it is, and you don't know metal, like, do you think that someone who listens to that music can take influence from metal and then like get it? Because like as a metal musician, I feel like most metal musicians are very open-minded to like sucking in different aspects and then pushing out something that unifies all those influences together. But does like a pop artist or like someone who is not in metal at all take influence from metal and be like, try to put that in their stuff? Because it's this pure aggression and energy. It's like,
that is a great question.
You got to get a pop artist in here now, dude. Call it Bieber. I know you got him on speed dial, dude.
God, I would love that. I would fucking love it. Talking about getting people in here who are better looking than me. I look at metal as a bit like tofu, right? Tofu on its own doesn't really taste like much. You add a bunch of stuff to it. It absorbs whatever you put into it very well, and delivers that flavor in a great vehicle that's full of protein. But
all that.
I don't know if other, that's a question I have never considered before, because it has to be true. Because of course some people who write pop music or whatever listen to metal. Okay, well, actually, Max Martin is a great example. Max Martin, the most revered and successful pop songwriter of all time, like net worth of $400 million. Like, most people have no fucking idea who he is, but he wrote, Hit Me Baby One More Time, like hit after hit after hit, like from the 90s to now, something like 20 plus number one hits. He wrote the Blinding Lights for the Weekend, which spent longer on the Billboard charts than any Beatles song and shit like that. He was a metalhead to start. He was in metal bands in Sweden.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
no shit.
Not like fucking Mellow Death, like Swedish metal bands. Like he was in like more like hair metal stuff like that, but still like definitely has some metal roots. So he's probably the best example that I can think of. And then the guy from Winds of Plague, Morgoth Beats.
Oh yeah, he's doing shit with like what's that, Gunface Kelly and stuff?
Machine Gun Kelly,
whatever. Yeah, Gunface. Thinking of Red Chord.
Yeah, dude, there's the mashup we need.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know necessarily that the music that he's writing is super influenced by the metal that he listens to or whatever, but I don't really know.
Because he started off in metal. Like, he's always been in metal. I remember we did a tour with him, and that's when he was like in the thick of the Morgoth thing, and now he's like doing crazy shit. And like, I think a lot of artists who start in metal end up going into this pop world. Like, I can't name names
because they're fucking sick of being poor and doing the 18 passenger van tour, sleeping in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, I think it's just like when you're born in that world where everything is like, it's like everything that in metal culminates as this massive like concentration of everything musical, but it's like also very aggressive, and then it explodes, and then you get shot off in a different direction, but you come from that place. It's like easier to do things, I think, musically, because you've come from like this insanity that is the metal scene, with everything that's happening. Like, And when you like look back on metal bands too that aren't metal bands, like Black Sabbath didn't know that they were going to be the grandfathers of metal music,
Yeah.
you know, like or like Venom didn't know what they were doing. Death
They
didn't know
didn't
what
wake
they were
up in the morning and be like, I'm going to invent metal today.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it just kind of came into that, or like I don't know who else considers as the forefathers of metal. Like I guess what Zepp? Some people call Zeppelin, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, but there's Black Sabbath holds up as being very metal because
of the
even
tone that they
yeah,
have.
like I don't think there's anything about Led Zeppelin that really sounds metal in a modern context.
Yeah.
Like Black Sabbath still sounds metal to me.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds more like doom
Yeah,
metal,
now,
obviously, but
totally.
at the time there were no we didn't have
Nothing
these
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sound, the distortion, it's like
They weren't like, we're going to invent metal, and also it's going to be this subgenre of metal called doom metal.
Yeah, exactly. That takes place like 40 years later.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like something like that. It's like the Big Bang Theory.
Nostradamus.
Nostradamus?
They foresaw doom metal coming.
Oh my god, dude. All right,
that's
see ya.
I understand.
Nostradamus. That
Nostradamus.
should start that
Write
side
that
project.
shit down. Yeah. So, ooh, boy, we're getting pretty far afield, but this is very interesting stuff. All that to say, so let's pull it back to a Zenith passage specific context with all of this stuff. These are all things that you're sort of, unconsciously or maybe consciously incorporating into the music to some extent. When you, how much do you like consciously put into the music in terms of these sort of outside influences and stuff? Like when you're writing the more death metal of these two albums that you're talking about, is there anything that you're like, I'm going for something more like this? Any specific moments maybe that you were like really wearing your influences on your sleeve, or something you were listening to recently that really influenced something?
Yeah, totally. Like there's moments where I'm like, okay, well, going off on all these metal tangents, like with pure, like, it's just like full throttle the whole time. It's like, okay, well, you need to slow down for a minute and have a chance to, reflect on what just happened. So like, I think creating these palette cleansers within the album, like I did that on Solipsis too, is like, I call them death metal palette cleansers, or, like ginger or whatever. It's just, you put those like in the middle of the album or in the middle of a song, and it kind of like refreshes the listener, and it doesn't exhaust them, I think. Like if you have like a really cool atmospheric, interlude or texture that happens, I think it kind of can make the next bite even more flavorful, because it's like you've had a chance to slow down and reflect, and then it comes back even harder. So like I try to use that a lot in songwriting. Like Holographic Principle 2 has some elements like that. And I think even Synaptic Deprivation has that, where, there's two halves to the song, there's like the full intensity, like rhythmic part, and then it takes you to this atmospheric part, and then Brandon's like, fretless solo comes out, and it's all cynic and crazy and atmospheric, and then you jump into like the insanity that happens after that. So it's like reintroducing you to like, hey, by the way, this is what we are. So I think taking like jazz, for example, and like a lot of the cool stuff that like Johan Johansson does with his atmospheric, like big cinematic things that he does texturally, and then inputting that into metal as like a way to reflect on what's happening and like kind of get like a palate cleanser is like what I really take influence from. And like because you know Johan Johansson, like
I don't.
Oh man, he's an Icelandic composer. He did Arrival, he did Sicario, but just like really almost drony kind of things that he does with string instruments or synth, and it's like very impactful. It's like it makes you feel a certain way, like dread almost, and like but some glimmer of hope. I know it's like so many things you can do tonally. It's like mainly tonal. So incorporating stuff like that as a way to like kind of feel like floaty and ethereal, like, and then throwing you back into like, force feeding you back into that like death metal experience is like, I think something I really enjoy doing because it's allows me to like be satisfied like musically in terms of like, the whether it be atmospheric or composition or jazz, like I'm able to at least dive into that, introduce that, and then build from that into like this aggressive high energy thing. So yeah, like I definitely do take, those influences into effect in songwriting, but also like I do realize that it's like we have a certain sound and like this is the sound, the overall objective of the album is to have this sound, but also like be able to make it more digestible in a way or make it more easier to like dive into, and then just be able to have your, like you said, wear your influences on your sleeve. So I'm definitely taking a lot of like jazz into account, like onto this record, the death metal record. I mean, I think that's I think with Synaptic, that's definitely come out that, yeah, we can be, very jazzy too. And especially now having like Brandon in the band, who's like a phenomenal, like his sense of melody is insane. So it's like being able to like have Brandon just do his thing, like unhinged, and just be like, be Brandon, do your thing, man, and like bounce off ideas off how he does things. Like his bass solo in Synaptic is like what inspired my solo, that followed it, because he starts with his fretless solo, which is in a very interesting scale format that I didn't think I'd use in altered. Like I don't really use altered. So he's like, yeah, I'm just going to use altered in this part. So I'm like, oh shit, maybe I should do that too. So like just his musical, palette influenced mine just in that context. So it's like cool to like see like and hear that happening in real time too. So yeah, I think incorporating a lot of different aspects from other members this time too, whereas like not because everyone comes from different worlds in the band musically. Like with Derek, he's like really into the black metal and like the really like French black metal, like a huge thing. So he takes a lot of influence from that. And then like Brandon with, he's like really into 90s like pop and like fusion. He played in fucking Cynic. So it's like being able to use that palette that everyone has. And then like Chris too, Chris is like, he kind of grew up on Zenith Patch. He's a little bit younger than us. So he grew up in that tech death world. So it's like a reflection of like how it was when I was that age. Like I'm like, oh, this is why we did this. Like now I get it, because you kind of forget like why you do things. So like having Chris in the band now, it's like I think it just works. Every part is moving like the way it's supposed to be. So I don't know. It's very interesting. It's like a new age thing. Like, I mean, it's like a new band essentially, it's like, so it's been weird for me too, to get used to the fact that it's like a brand new band, cause it's like I started the band with Greg in our apartment in Bakersfield. So, and like with Rob and everything, it's like, it was kind of hard parting from those guys, cause they're like my friends and I've shared so many memories with them. It's like a thing I'm like, I was kind of afraid to do without them, but I just like, we just got to keep going. So yeah, I think it's definitely proving to work, I guess, to some degree with everyone. So I'm very excited.
Well, I think you get used to working a certain way, and it seems like a lot of what you've done has been writing it mostly by yourself, like sort of hermit style. And I know that when I do that, I get very self-critical.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to stay focused and also to have a good perspective on whether what you're doing is good or not. You think you're like, this is the fucking thing right here. This is the greatest, whatever. And then you show it to somebody else and they're like, I don't know, man. Or you make something, you're like, I don't know, this isn't that great. And you show it to other people and they're like, dude, no, that's it. This is what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm excited to hear what comes out of a more collaborative approach to what you're doing, because obviously it's worked out pretty great the way that you've been doing it, but also like you're saying, like, first of all, it seems like you're able to work a bit faster if you've got a little bit of pressure from somebody else. You're collaborating with them more. Like you're saying, you wrote some stuff and it's just flowing because you're bouncing it off the other members of the band, and and that kind of thing. So
yeah, like having more input, I think, is like something I haven't really dealt with too much as a songwriter. So like now having input from like other people who get it, you know what I mean? Like not to say that other people didn't get it. It's just I think we grew up different. Like we grew apart a little bit in that way, like musically, to the point where like they didn't get what I was trying to do and I didn't get what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So I think that was like a hard part in moving forward, but everyone's on the same page. Everyone gets it. Everyone has like an idea of what it should be or like what to do. So it's like, that's what's fucking cool. Like, and I've never had that in a band before. So like, in terms of songwriting, it's like a breath of fresh air, like having like, oh, I can trust that this is going to be cool because you're sick, you know, like, and you have a sick idea of what to do. So yeah, it's definitely like refueled my love for this music. So it's been great.
And you can like delegate too. Like you can outsource some things.
Yeah,
and then
cool,
the burden isn't entirely on you.
And it's like you don't feel the weight of the world on you. I mean, you know, it's like writing everything yourself for so long, you get burnt out and you just don't want to do it anymore. And then, I mean, I've definitely suffered from that. So being able to, like you said, delegate things or just trust that they can just figure it out and do it cooler than you probably would have. Like, that's like fucking awesome. Like, I love that. Like, because Derek is like, Greg's good. Like, don't get me wrong, Greg's great, and you know he has his way of doing things. But like Derek is like at a much different level because he's able to like get the big picture and like he's like a great lyricist. You know, he gets things that I don't get, and he says things like, "Oh, that wouldn't work if we do that." Where I would just be like, "Whatever, dude, just do it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like if you look at the lyrics on Slips, it's just like thesaurus.com in full effect. You know, it's like whatever, dude. But like Derek has like he's like, yeah, you can't do that. It doesn't fucking make sense, dude. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But it's not like, you know, we definitely got thesaurus.com open. Should be credited on a lot of albums, to be honest. A lot of people don't give.
Dude, I use it all the time. Rhyming dictionary.
Yeah, rhyme dictionary.
Like,
yeah.
I got a pretty good vocabulary. I know a lot of words. I've been speaking English the whole time that I've been alive.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I can remember every word every time.
Yeah, dude.
You know?
Like, and you could find different meaning in a word. Like, oh, I didn't know that word meant that as well. Or something, or like in that context, or like I just need more syllables. So let me look on thesaurus.com to find a word that has at least 8 syllables in it, so I can make this part work.
Yeah,
like things like that
rhythmically.
Happen too.
I need a word that means this thing, but it has to be this many syllables.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I have to delete this entire line and start from scratch.
Yeah,
so
that's like honestly like the biggest juggle too, is like having something make sense, but like have it fit rhythmically, and also be like what Zenith Passage is obviously, you know, very, you know, sci-fi and scientific, while also trying to sound like that too is like a really hard thing to do. And it honestly, like Solipsist shows that it comes out like kind of nonsensical sometimes. So like trying to like definitely avoiding that on everything that we're doing now. So it's been pretty funny. It's been a fun learning experience.
I forced a bot to do 1,000 hours of research on microbes and then write a song.
Yeah.
This is what came out.
Pretty much. It's like, how do you sound scientific but also poetic? It's kind of hard to do.
Well, if you're neither a scientist nor a poet, it's probably really hard.
Exactly. Well, luckily,
if you're going to be both.
Yeah, he's into slam poetry, so.
Oh.
Synaptic deprivation. Algorithmic.
Salvation. Yeah.
That's literally like how it feels now. It's like
passing through the zenith passage. Passaggio. Science.
Bellagio.
Oh!
See, this is great. That's a song.
There you go. Just
in the stream. The song's done.
To Spotify straight away. DistroKid.
It's a fun thing, you know. Just it's a great learning experience. Doing like fun shit like that and just trying to find out how to make it like have a rhythmic, you know, meter to it, like vocally and lyrically.
Do you ever start with a lyric? Start with a lyrical idea and build off of that?
Oh, like
when you write a song
based on that. Yeah, actually, like it started off as a song, but then like because the orchestral album is very conceptual, so it's like every movement is like a story being told. Has a lot to do with simulation theory. So it's a massive conceptual idea, and I think that too is able to like having a singular perspective on it as a like you're going through the story as a person, I guess, if you will, or an entity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like having like a conceptual outlook on it can change like how the tonality works here or there, or like the orchestral effect there. But I mean the lyrics aren't like 100% written, but like the theme is there. So like keeping that in mind has definitely played a massive role on like the tonality and the harmonics of what should be happening in like the whole of the song. I don't want to give away too much because it's like it's so in depth. There's like some cool shit that I'm pretty stoked about that it's happened. But it's okay. It starts off symphonic and then it like moves its way to being more digital and synthy. So like I think that is like a cool like motif that's been being played a lot in the theme. So it's very human, and then it gets very robotic, and that's all.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like an interesting musically and lyrically in that way.
But it was inspired in part by the lyrical content.
Yeah, like it started off as like, oh, this is a cool riff, and then it turned into this, and like, okay, well, but there's all this cool like theory that I've discovered through like researching this and that, and through talking with friends about like all this crazy simulation theory, and then this and that, and then that kind of led in like, oh, this is the concept now. Okay, now I can start like having a solidified like structure of what to do with the music. So yeah, it's like it's gonna be interesting. I'm like pretty stoked about it. Like I'm like very excited about being able to do something like that musically. So
yeah,
it's fun. You know, it's fun to be able to discover that like in yourself. So
I am reminded now, with you talking about this kind of stuff, I completely forgot. I don't even know if you still do this for a job, but for a while you were composing music for your job for children's toys.
Yeah, I still do it. I mean, with the pandemic, I got let go and I got hired back, and I got let go, and that whole charade. But yeah, I still do it. I'm I work in product development, and I do anything from, I wear multiple hats, so it's like doing anything from like packaging, like engineering, to like product development, to like writing all the music, to doing video editing, to like going to showroom building. So it's like tons of different things. But yeah, like I've been able to develop like sound design for toys, and write like composition, like pop music actually, for a toy. It's called a Lumi, called Lumis, and it's actually a pretty interesting concept. So it's a toy that scans colors, right? And there's four instrumentations per color. So you have like a beat, you have a melody, you have a bass line, then you have a vocal line. And each individual color, there's like a specified melody for that color. So you can have like a loopable beat, right? Like up to 4 in a row. And it's like a 7-second beat. So you can go around and you can scan different colors, and based on all the colors you scan, it like creates your own loop.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's just like, it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, just the way it was marketed. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing. Like kids are able to like create their own loops, and hopefully in turn that inspires them to like get into music and write music.
Yeah.
Like that was like the ultimate goal. And I was pretty proud of that. I was like, man, it's such a cool like product, like to be able to do that. And there's like a death metal Easter egg in there too. Yeah, if you like scan like a series of colors sequences, there's like a sick riff in there. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I discovered something like that pretty recently. A friend of mine who has a kid had one of those books that it's kind of like a speak and spell almost. And you like oh, this is what this sounds like, and there's a guitar like one. And it plays a Megadeth riff.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's it's the opener to Rust in Peace. What the fuck is it?
Fuck.
It's
It's not Hanger. It's not that one. It's,
whatever the first song on Rust in Peace
we're
is.
posers.
Yeah, total fucking posers. Can't remember. I can fucking play it, but I can't remember the goddamn name of it.
Yeah. I know it exactly. I know the song.
It's Holy Wars.
Holy Wars. Yes,
It's Holy Wars.
Yes, that's right.
The Punishment Due. Okay. Oh, saved our fucking metal cred by the skin of our teeth.
Cred is fine.
I had to go through it in my mind. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. I would love to try that in here, where I can change the walls to all these different colors.
Oh yeah.
I could shit. Anyway, so when you're writing music for that kind of stuff, it must be you have to take a completely different approach, because it's not just like pop music per se. You're writing it for children, presumably, and for this weird format where these things have to be interchangeable.
Yeah, there's like a lot of variables at play. So another thing too is like
that's super fucking John Cage-esque too. Do you ever like see the thing where he has the conch shells that have water in them, the improvisation, and there's no way to control the improvisation? It's a really interesting concept, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's not exactly the same as what you're saying, but just like interchangeable variables, basically infinite combinations.
Yeah, it's like a fluidity of it.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So it uses water to.
Yeah,
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, but just like it's completely different every time. And so you have to design. You had to design this.
There's like 300 like I think 300 something layers.
Wow.
But we only use like 128 of them or something. But I had to create so many because you have to go through all the proper channels and corporate blah blah. So it's like everyone's got to sign off on it, and then like with this company things change at the with the win. So it's like, okay, I got to do this now, so I have to rewrite all this stuff. But
wow.
It was in the key of C, and then like everything was at 120 or 140, and then it was in a loopable pattern, and then it's just like I had to really dive into the top 40 at the time and like what is popular, and then try to mimic that and like have fun with it at the same time and have it be accessible to kids. But most kids, like I think what was our age on that? I think it's like 5 and up or something. So it's like most kids like were down with it. It's not like Disney tunes or anything, but there are some Disney-esque things in it, like the voice is like I had to sing, or like we had someone at work sing, and then I'd auto-tune it and then I'd pitch shift it. So it's like, because it's like a little creature, right? It's called a Lumi. It's like a little creature, and so it has like this.
How do you spell it?
Lumies. It's like Lumi, like lumination, Lumies.
Yeah.
And it's like has its voice. It's like very high pitched and cute and bubbly and all that crap. So, so it's like that was the voice it had like when it was singing. It was like almost chipmunk-esque, I guess, if you will. So, it was a fun project, and like I've done a couple other projects like that after that, and then just doing sound design for like some other random toys. Like it's pretty fun. Like there's another one I did the song for. For one of in the play pattern, I forgot what it was. It's just like if you click the nose or some shit, it like plays the song. But it's called a Pomsy. It was like one of our like saving graces for the company. Actually, it was this Pomsy, and it was it's like a plush toy. It's like a little fucking cat, and then it's got like its head, and then you can hold the nose, and then like it lights up and it purrs, and it does all this crazy thing. And doing some of the sound design on that was pretty fun. But yeah, like. I don't know. It's like a way different approach of like commercial and like product development in that sense. It's like I think that's probably played a role in like how I approach songwriting too, but because of variables, and like all that stuff.
I don't know that you could get any more opposite from what you're doing in the band. You know what I mean? Like longer, more involved, more technical, and more metal and everything over the top. Like definitely not for children in a certain sense. I mean, I think metal's for everybody, but like whatever. To music specifically written for children, with a completely different approach, like very short, like you're saying, a 7-second loop, wow.
It's like
crazy.
A part of my plan is to turn these kids into death metal lovers to buy my record.
Like, you don't know it now, but when you get older, you're going to pay for my retirement. And that's a long con.
It's all about the long play, dude.
Holy shit. Well, that's pretty cool to hear about, and I'm very excited to hear both of these albums. And I think it'd be funny if you were to do it the other way around, take something that you wrote for the toy and put it in the album. Almost like you're triggering like a Russian sleeper agent, you know what I mean? Like there's a certain phrase,
and then they go buy that product,
and then they hear it and they're just like, I will buy everything, Zenith Passage. I will buy your merchandise and come to your shows. Like,
man, imagine when we get to that point where we can do that.
Shit,
we'll be millionaires.
We'll be millionaires. I just want to be 100-aire.
100-aire? I'd like to make $100, please.
And I set myself back on that by buying a Zenith Passage shirt, which you should also do.
Thank you.
Which one did I get? It's the Algorithmic Salvation one, right?
The blue or the red one?
Oh, I wound up buying the red one because the blues they were at a medium, and I was like, oh, fuck. All right. Oh, so one synaptic deprivation artwork, the other one is algorithmic salvation. Oh, but they're almost they're very similar looking.
Yeah, they're very similar. That's like what we're doing on these singles it's like playing a bigger role into like what everything is. So it's like we're like trying to give everyone blue balls kind of in a way.
Yes.
So.
You're building the you're building to something.
Yeah.
You're only going to give us blue balls if you don't deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, we're just ripe for more music.
It's funny because there's like 9 minutes of new music now, which is like probably not a lot in 5 years, but hey, check it out. 9 minutes of music now. We put out this new song. It's 6 minutes long, and it's great that this is happening. But people, like, the first thing they comment is like, "Where's the album? Where's the album? Where's the album? This is cool, but where's the album?" I'm like, dude, just listen to the song. It's like just take 6 minutes. Listen to maybe take like an hour. Maybe keep it looping. I don't know. Listen to that, then ask for the album. See if it's what you really want.
Are you sure you want more of this?
Want more of this?
Because, well, I do, for one. And having listened to your band for a long time, I think I'm once again very excited to hear where you're going to go next. And I really appreciate you taking the time to give us a little peek, a little sneak peek-arino into your process and your philosophy on the topics as well, like how you're thinking about it, how you're going, what it is that you're going for in different areas. Like that to me is what this show is all about. You know, I'm here more than anything else to learn from the guests, and getting a little peek into your brain is what I'm here for. I like it that other people are also watching, because then I can make a career out of it. But this is for me. It's for me. I want to scan the surface of your brain and send back something that I can use. So this was really interesting. And why don't you tell the folks at home where they can find you? You're streaming now also pretty often.
I'm streaming on Twitch pretty much every Monday and Wednesday. Actually, this Friday we're opening for Trivium, which is pretty cool. Matt Heafy's doing a stream event because they're on that fucking sick tour with Megadeth and Lamb of God, and he streams his show like every day, or his part of it. He has like a whole thing that he does.
Oh yeah,
and like
he was our first guest on the podcast.
Oh, that's right, episode 1. Yeah, that's sick. So he like I got hit up to like open like the stream before he starts streaming. So
wow, like
I'm on it, Chainbrain's on it. Who else is on it? Thong DeLong. I'm not sure if you know like all these streamers. Like
no,
like
but that's probably why I'm not as popular as most of them, because I don't watch other people's streams. I just do the stupid thing that I do.
Yeah, Dan Sugarman's doing it too. Dan Sugarman.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's going to be playing I think at the end of the month.
So what are you going to be doing on
I'm
going to
be playing like the Zenith Passage songs. I think we get like an hour slot or something.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'll be playing like Zenith songs. I'll maybe play like a Faceless song here and there.
That's fucking awesome. What time does it start?
I think their show goes on at 7 Central Time, 7:15 Central. So I would start at probably like 4:30 or 5. Pacific Standard. So
Well,
yeah,
God damn it, I'm gonna be streaming then. So
just
fuck.
raid me. Oh, that's right. You're on Latitude.
I'm trying to do both. I just haven't figured out Restream yet. We had a problem this past week on Friday, and anyway. I'm gonna try. So what's your?
My stream schedule is Monday and Wednesdays, like 7:30, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard.
Okay, so you start late.
Yeah, because I get off work and then I come home and I try to eat, and then yeah. And Nicole, my girlfriend Nicole Papastavru, shout out. She does it too. Hey Nicole. She does it Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Because you can't compete with each other. That would be bad.
Well, our audience is kind of like the same audience. Like we always hop in each other's streams anyway. So it's a great community. Twitch is
no, bro. You don't
awesome,
you don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams, dude.
What happens if you cross the streams?
You don't want to know.
That would be very bad.
Yeah, very bad.
What is your Twitch handle?
Justin_McKinney.
Okay.
Because some
motherfucker.
Dude.
I had the same problem.
Really?
Yeah, I had to. For a while, it was Trey Xavier Writes because I had to, because somebody else got Trey Xavier, and I switched it to Gear Gods Official. I kind of want to switch it back actually to Trey Xavier Writes. I wonder if I can do that.
You probably could. You could probably make a separate account and like hold that one for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like so, there's actually a dude named Justin McKinney on Twitch who is just like never stream. He just had an account, and I reached out to him like, hey dude, do you mind if you like switch your name? Because I was just trying to. I know we have the same name. Like, oh, that's cool. But can you change your name so I can take this for what I'm doing? And like just like if it's cool with you, if you're not really using it. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And then like I was like, cool, I can take it. But then it's like a 3-4 month waiting period until you can take that handle, I guess. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to do it again and try to change my name to that. Also, my Instagram is the same way. It's like I can't get my name, so it's like shit. I'm stuck with this handle.
Other motherfucker got all the good ones.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so can we? Follow the Zenith passage and Justin on all appropriate things. You know how to find them.
Just type
Google
in the
that
Zenith
shit.
passage. Yeah, and just find it. We're everywhere on Bandcamp. Spotify. Walmart. Whatever. LimeWire.
BearShare. And you'll more than anything else do it so that you can find out upcoming release dates for this stuff. So that we don't get blue balled.
Also, we have we're a part of a much larger tour happening in May with Rivers of Nile, Fallujah, Alluvial, and Warforged, and we'll be on the California dates. We only unfortunately got to get on 4 of them, but that's fine. We're playing shows. Stoked to be a part of it. But yeah, that tour, if it's coming near you, it's Rivers of Nile, Fallujah, Alluvial, Warforged. It's a fucking sick tour, and we're glad to be a part of it on the California dates. So May 24th to the May 27th is when we're going to be on those dates, and you all should go.
Sweet, dude.
Be very fun.
I'll be there.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to check out howsongsaremade.podcast.com where you can get, I'm staring directly into the camera like a psycho.
Don't break the fourth wall.
All of these episodes are streaming, all past episodes. I release new ones every Wednesday. This will be an audio episode for regular podcast consumption very soon.
Oh, nice.
I'll let you know when that happens. It's sort of like a rolling schedule, you know what I mean? So, but all past episodes, as well as you can find the playlist for all of these live streams on the front page of the Gear Gods YouTube channel. And there is merch available for How Songs Are Made. I just have a brand new one. You can check this out. This is
greater than.
Oh, I'm so glad you got it. A lot of people are like, songs carrot. Songs this way. It's songs are greater than. All right.
Anything.
Just modeling it.
Greater than you is what you're saying.
Yeah, greater than my left nipple, or whatever. But I just got this one the other day, and I think it's I got a red one to stick out against the background.
Hell yeah, dude.
I think it's working out pretty good. So
I spotted you a mile away.
But yeah, you did.
Came outside. I'm like, there's Trey.
Oh, there he is. And red doesn't really look good on me because I'm a very red person already, and it just brings out the red in my face.
Man.
I'm glowing. Yeah, you can see me from fucking orbit. But check out all that stuff. And if you're interested in learning how to write songs You're definitely going to want to check out my course, which is called Complete Rock and Metal Songwriting. There's a link in the description as well. And also, I have a free course called the 7-Day Riff to Song Challenge, in which I help you go from having just a riff to writing a complete song in 7 days. And you can find the link to that in the description as well. Sign up for that. It's completely free and super fun. I've had, I think, close to 1,000 people sign up and finish songs, which guitar players are infamously bad at, myself included. So thanks you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. My guest next week, you're definitely going to want to check in, dude. Check right on in. My guest next week is going to be Pliny.
Oh, that's great.
He will also be here in real life, all the way from Australia, if you can believe it. He flew out just for this. We'll pretend that that's true. So set your schedules. I do this every single Monday, every week, 11 a.m. PST. You will see me standing here with somebody else who is taller and better looking than me every time. Same 3 in a fucking row at least.
Is Pliny tall?
Pliny is tall. He's very tall.
Wow, I didn't know. You gotta get someone shorter than you.
I gotta get somebody shorter, balder, fatter, and less good at music. And so far, that has not been the case. I'm only bringing on superior people. Fuck! Okay. Thanks so much, guys. I will see you all on the flippy floppy.
Flippy floppy.
Bye-bye.
Later, y'all.